God, when faith follows truth, when faith follows fact, faith maintains balance and pulls off the impossible.
Christ is enough apologetics.
So my premise is the fact that technically very much Christianity recognizes the crucifixion for the reason that Jesus died for our sins, right? According to Christianity, right?
Yeah.
All right. So basically very much my point to prove the fact that like the crucifixion did not happen is the fact that if you look in Surah Nisa verse 157, it says that people follow conjecture, stating that technically much they thought that they have seen the crucifixion, and that therefore it was looked like.
What verse is that? What verse is that? Can you come again?
All right, verse. It's Surah. It's chapter 4, verse 157.
Yeah. How long have you been watching for?
Me? I
Yeah.
just basically very much like saw your clip for like I was
You
just
just came through right now, right? Like you haven't been around for some time, right? I mean,
Yeah,
we've been on almost an hour and a half.
Yeah, I just immediately joined into a panel.
So that was the first verse that I covered, right at the beginning at 7 o'clock. All right. So what is your claim about this verse here?
So my claim is that technically very much people follow a conjecture, or in this case, they thought that he actually very much like was on the cross, because at the same time, if you look at Ibn Abbas's narration in the hadith, it states that technically very much a person actually like one of his disciples actually like took the cross. You get my point?
What about Jalalain that says something else? What about Jalalain that says that one of the Pharisees actually, took the cross? It wasn't one of Jesus' disciples necessarily, but it was actually a slanderer who was to be murdered or substituted for Jesus. So how do you explain that? I can actually show it to you right now, and I can actually disprove, the fact that it's not just one, example. They give a whole lot of different examples of different people. Some are believed to be Pharisees and Sadducees, and some of them are believed to be among the disciples of Jesus. How do you explain that contradiction?
Those are used by obscure Muslims who have no idea what they're talking about. Because I'm using
Al-Jalalain is an obscure Muslim. That's one of your scholars, man. That's one of the best scholars of Sunnah.
Because mainstream Islam, like actually uses Ibn Abbas's narration. I look right what it says right here. Like they have no knowledge whatsoever, right? Right. It says in the verse up there.
But I just told you. I don't know if you actually listened, but I told you that your scholars, right? Those that are highly, ranked, the top scholars that you guys actually go for in terms of commentaries.
Mm-hmm.
They're not even agreeing on what you're saying, right? A lot of them, there's a lot of dichotomies. Like some of them would agree, for example, that, it wasn't per se like one of the disciples, but rather a slanderer, a part of the Pharisees or the Sadducees. Some of them would say Judas. Some of them would say it's actually Thomas, right? So again, this actually defeats your purpose.
All right. So could you pull up?
I can pull up a commentary if you want to. There you go. I just want to show you how wrong you're about this. Here you go.
No, I'm not.
Again, you're wrong. So I'm going to show you how you're wrong. You're going to, you're going to bury yourself because I'm going to show you how you're wrong, right? You don't make any sense. I'm going to show you how your own scholars actually bury your claim, and you'll end up burying yourself.
Go ahead.
All right. So here it is, my friend. Wait for it. And then I've got, a couple of questions for you. We'll see how you actually do with these arguments that I will bring forth. But first thing first, let's just jump right back into the Quran. The commentary instead. Give me a minute. I'm just going to open it up and let me know if you actually see it on the screen.
All right, great.
Right, this is Quran X. All right, so I'm going to pull 3 different hadiths and let's see what it says. All right, what they say actually, if they generally actually agree on the same premise or if they actually divert one from another. Here it says, this is Kushairi. This is one of your main scholars. You can't actually refute this one. This one is also proven to be right by Al-Tirmidhi and others. It says, and for their saying, we slew the Messiah, Jesus, son of Mary, the messenger of God. And yet they did not slay him, nor did they crucify him, but he was given the resemblance. And those who disagree concerning him are surely in doubt regarding him. They do not have any knowledge of him, only the pursuit of conjecture. And they did not slay him for certain. Nay, God raised them up to him. God is ever mighty wise. It is said that God caused the one who slandered Jesus to resemble him, and he was killed and crucified in his place. What was your argument? The one that you just made 2 seconds ago?
My argument is that technically very much Ibn Abbas is actually very much mostly used by Muslims. You're saying that like Al-Qushayri actually very much like disagrees.
What was the
And if
claim
you
that you just?
actually-
Who was the person that you actually mentioned that was replacing Jesus on the cross when it was made an illusion for everybody to think that Jesus was actually on the cross?
A disciple.
And who was the disciple? Can you give me a name?
Habib ibn Najjar.
Habib? What do you mean Habib?
Habib ibn Najjar.
There's no such thing
Look,
as
look,
Habib
look,
ibn
look,
Najjar
look.
in the.
I know you would think like the name is Arabic. It's just basically very much a name given by people.
Yeah, was he one of Christ's disciples?
Hmm?
Was he one of Christ's disciples? Was he not one of Christ's disciples?
Yes.
Okay, if
This
he
is what,
was,
like,
then you'd expect him to be a good disciple, right? Because he was part of the 12 that walked with him.
Yeah.
Correct? All right.
12
So
or
how is
17.
it then? But
We're
wait
not
a
talking
minute.
about like Pastor Luke or John. We don't really use like the.
No, I get it. We're not going there. We're
analogy.
actually into your Quran right now. We're doing analogous with this here. I'm just showing you from a different source, right? How it is saying, and I want you to listen carefully. It says that God caused the one who slandered Jesus to resemble him, right? This guy that you mentioned, first thing first, I mean, his name is pretty much like sounding Arabic to me, right? So this couldn't have been, a name used back then. But anyways, just for the sake of the argument, let's say I actually roll with you, right? How do you make sense of this here being someone who slandered Jesus, someone who was actually opposing Jesus, when you're saying that it would have been a disciple of Jesus, therefore would have been someone that was all up for the case of Jesus and not against him, like this one right here. So there are two different people.
Do you know what it says? Like it is said that God caused the one, because it says it is said, which means like this could possibly been a conjecture. So it can possibly be like a one who slandered, because it said it is said right here. Like who? Like it is said. By what rumor?
What's the name? Give me the name.
Hmm?
Give me the name again. I mean, okay, so are you saying that this is 100% sure? You're certain 100% that the guy's name is whatever name you actually brought up earlier?
Because
is that what you're saying?
Like that name could be anachronistic, but regardless, it really wouldn't matter. Consider we're talking about the fact that, like, a disciple to actually like basically was a decoy. Practically, a likeness came to him. That's really it.
Yeah. So it's a decoy that you guys seem to not be able to agree on in reality.
Because at the same time, those ones were actually very much like offshoots of of Ibn Abbas. So they actually very much go and add unnecessary information.
Okay, but where's that
like
name in the Quran? Where's that name in the Quran? Because I mean, it's almost like you'd have to do acrobatics to get me a name, because your sources don't actually agree on the same, pattern of consistency. Hey, hear me out. Hold on a minute. Let me finish. So none of your sources, none of the outside sources, which are the hadiths, right, even agree on one single out specific name, right? You have them specify different names. Now, my question to you is, like, how am I supposed to believe who it is, right? If we can't even, like, you guys can't even, for the life of you, right, agree on one single out name. And where is that name even written in the Quran? Because you would wonder why that name is not written in the Quran when the story is plainly given to us in the Quran in chapter 4, 157 and onwards.
The name would not be important, considering that technically very much a likeness came to him. This is talking about the story in relevance. It doesn't need to talk about the biography of a person who actually very much dies, considering that the Quran is only a book for belief.
Okay.
Right?
So let's say I grant it to you, although like I don't believe a word of what you're saying, because a lot of Muslims actually would disagree, on that again.
No,
and whether the name, let's just say that the name does not really matter. Okay. Then can you explain to me here, just back to our surah here? I don't know if you can actually read it. It's right up on the screen, right? It's right there. You see it, all right? It says it was only made to appear so. Okay. Who is this actually speaking of? When when Allah is verbatim saying that, right? They actually boasted about his killing. That's in Surah 354. Who is this speaking of? What group is this talking about?
This is talking about a person. Just look at number one. You see the footstep? You see a footnote? Touch the number one. It says
we killed. It doesn't say I killed. It say we killed the Messiah.
Yeah. Look at like it was only made to appear, so it looked like the footnotes.
That's not what I'm asking. I'm saying, who is the group? You're not listening. Okay, I'll reiterate again. Who is the group? Yeah, who's the group of people that supposedly plotted against Jesus, right? They actually boasted because they said, you know what, we're going to plot and we're going to kill him. We're going to analyze him. We're going to crucify him. But then Allah comes in. He steps in, right? And that's Surah 354. they deceived, and Allah was the greatest of the deceivers.
No, they
Who
didn't.
was the group? No, it does say deceit. Do you speak Arabic?
Whatever. Makru literally means plan. You're talking about connotation. So if I
Do you
give
speak
them-
Arabic?
Yeah,
Do
no,
you speak Arabic?
no.
Okay, you don't. I speak Arabic. So makaro does actually mean to guile, to scheme, or to deceive. Does not mean
That's
to
a
plan.
connotation. That is a connotation.
You're just making this up because
No, I'm
you
not.
hear
No, I'm not.
the
No, I'm not.
Dawagantas that you actually
No,
follow
I'm not.
tell you that you have
Because then
to,
at the same time, even
assert
if it
that
was,
into the
then I
text.
could say they planned and Allah planned and Allah is the best of planners. So it really wouldn't matter. Because you're talking about like
No, it
connotation.
wouldn't
That's
matter
so much
because
used
what you're
around.
doing is that even if it doesn't affect the context, you're asserting into the text something that it does not say.
Regardless,
So you're
let's
going
just get
against
back.
you're going against the very words of your own God.
Regardless, let's get back to a verse.
But regardless is not an answer, man. Notice what you just did. You just brushed it off with a flick of a
Can
hand,
I
failing to
actually
understand.
make you
But
say
I'm
that,
just
like,
teaching you
Allah is
something,
not
man.
the
Just
best deceiver?
take it in
Of course
humbly.
not.
I'm teaching you something, man. If
No,
you
you're
stop
not.
talking, maybe you'll learn something. But if you keep talking over me, then we can't engage any further. I just stopped you to say that you can't assert something that the text does not say, right? Because otherwise you're changing the words of your God, which your God says to not do. So whether it's beside
No, because
the
same
matter,
time,
or
you're lying
regardless
about
whether it
Arabic
does.
just to actually pretty much go spite the Quran.
There you go. Crazy, man, how these guys don't listen, right? They just don't listen. They just don't listen. All right, so listen, we need someone that listens. We don't need someone that comes up and overtalks us, right? We want someone that we can actually engage with. If you're willing to engage humbly, then I'll be more than happy to engage with you. All right, but if you're going to talk all over me, then forget it. All right, bringing you back, all right? But please don't talk over me, man.
I won't. But you said about like who is like the one boasting about we killed the Messiah.
Yeah, but you said a word. You said in the meantime, as I was actually asking, right? You jumped in to say it's actually the word means to plan, and I corrected you on it, and you wouldn't let me explain to you how this is actually devious of your own right standards. You're going against your own standards when you do that. You're not supposed to change words, right? Especially that you don't even speak Arabic. So I was just indulging you on something that could potentially help you in the future, even if it's beside the point and regardless of the context. You get it?
Yeah.
Okay, now we can move on.
So the one
who is this
boasting.
speaking of?
So the ones boasting are those who actually very much killed the decoy, but not Nabi Isa Islam, and thought that think much they have killed him. Thought they have killed Nabi Isa Islam. Those are the ones then, as in like Roman soldiers who actually crucified them, or Jewish people who actually very much like paid the Romans to actually very much crucify because they're both because they're both responsible for the act, considering they were the ones who incentivized the Romans to go and crucify Nabi Isa Islam's associate.
So you're basically telling me it could have been the Pharisees or the Sadducees, those that very much oppose Jesus, not his disciples, right?
I didn't know what you were saying because I thought you were saying like a Pharisee or a Sadducee.
No, it's fine. I was just asking you about the group that actually killed, since there's a we right here. The article is we, is not I, right? So I was just asking you, who are the people that plotted against him and boasted in his killing? And so the answer is simple. The Pharisees and the Sadducees, those that opposed Jesus, right, in his time. Not his disciples that were all up for him, that followed him and loved him, right? Would you agree?
Yep. Yes.
Right. But here it says, but they neither killed nor crucified him. It was only made to appear so, right?
Yes.
What this doesn't actually say is, it doesn't speak of the order of, crucifixion, and then, the span of, time would have taken for him to be crucified, speaking of Jesus, right? And when he would have died. Because here's my question to you. It says, even those who argue for this crucifixion are in doubt, right?
Yes.
Can you please, tell me who is it that would argue for the crucifixion of Jesus? Do you know of any Christian around the world that would argue for the crucifixion of Jesus?
I mean, all Christians argue for that, and also like maybe more because they followed for like the conjecture. Note how it says like they certainly did not kill him, certainly. right there, concerning that they only follow what they heard and what they see.
No, this is not what this is saying. You're actually misreading something in the text
No,
that
I'm
is
not.
not there. Allah is responding back to their behavior. They're going around and they're boasting the fact that, you know what, they killed him. So he basically deceived or planned, right? I mean, name it, call it however you want, based on or in virtue of how they were going around, you know, boasting about their killing of the Messiah. So he comes in, right? And he basically descends this verse where he goes, but they neither killed nor crucified him. Meaning that when they crucified him, they didn't kill him there on the cross. And I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
I'll tell you why. They didn't kill him there on the cross. And because, you know, for the Jews, there was a verse that was basically like in the Old Testament, which was understood by them as something that, you know, like a saint of God could not fulfill, which goes something like, cursed is every man that is hung on a tree. Exactly. So technically, this doesn't say that Jesus, you know, wasn't crucified, but he might have actually died after the crucifixion.
Yeah.
This is not taken away from the fact that this is an option, that Jesus could have been in actuality crucified, right? But that his actual death, you know, happened or occurred only after the crucifixion.
Yeah.
Why? Because here it says, even those who argue for this crucifixion are in doubt. If you ask any Christian around the world, right, there's not a single Christian that is in doubt. Who were the ones that were in doubt? The Pharisees and the Sadducees and all those that actually reject the crucifixion. Why? Because it is clear and evident from other verses in the Quran, and I can show you that, right, and bring evidence to the table that Jesus said that he would die, and that Allah actually says that he will die first, and then he will raise up back to life. And actually, I can bring you there if you want to. I'm actually eager to find out what you have to say about these verses.
All right, the Ahmadis say that like that Jesus was on the cross, but actually at the same time didn't die from it, but rather lived peacefully and lived happily ever after in India until he died. Then actually was resurrected. But at the same time, if you go to the next verse, it actually very much disproves their claim. Yes, there you go. Yep.
No, it doesn't. Okay, you know what? We'll go through the verses one by one, and I want to know how you can actually work your way out of these verses, all right? But the first one I want to bring you to, listen, if you're willing to discuss, man, I'm willing to discuss. All right, good.
I have to go.
Excuse me?
I have to go. I have to go. Like, can we do like a couple? Like, I would like to do like a million of, if there's like a million Quranic verses with you, like I have to go, like short.
Okay. No problem. But let me just finish up with two verses real quick. How long you've got? Like 5 minutes, more or less?
Yeah.
All right. So the first one is 355. Notice what it says in Arabic, right? For an Arabic speaking person like myself, and you can actually challenge anybody watching right now.
It's mutawafika.
Mutawafika literally says, I'm causing you to die, right? But your translation right here is dishonest. If you want to roll with a dishonest translation and justify, right, your world scope, that's really up to you, man. But the Arabic does actually say something else. And besides, you don't even speak Arabic. How would you know?
Because at the same time that technically you're looking at like the normal definition of like mutawafika. We're talking about mutawafika, which means to take you. But my point is,
mutawafika comes from the word tawaffa. Tawaffa is a root word meaning he passed away, he died, right? It says, I will cause you to die, and I will raise you up to myself, and I will deliver you from those who disbelieved. Tawaffa never meant anything else than to be caused to die, right? Or to put to death. This is what it means, right? From an Arabic speaking person, generally to you, man, you could circle this around, you can wiggle and dance around, right, all you want. This is what it means in the Arabic context, in the original language. Whether you want it or not, whether you accept it or not, this is what it means, bro. And I can show you from your own text, this is what it means. Because when Muhammad died, you should know that, right? When Muhammad died, right? What did Abu Bakr tell the Muslims? They were mourning and lamenting over the fact that he died, right? He told them to not weep, because he said Muhammad is just a messenger. If God wants him to die, right, he will make him die. Why? Because every messenger of God is supposed to die and be raised up to heaven. If you go to
Surah Maryam, verse 33, then I know you can use that point, but at the same time, you can see like the footnotes right there. After it says like take you or mutawafika in the English translation, just touch it, please. Okay.
I will. But in context, like, don't you guys say, like, what I find absolutely ridiculous is that with my all due respect to you, right? I don't know if you say that, but you guys go like, you know what? You got to do a linear comparative study, bring all these verses up, right? Let's do a contextual criticism of all these verses. Don't just throw your opinion in there. Don't eisegete the text. That's what you guys say. And that's exactly what I'm doing. So watch this. Watch this, right? Before
I
you
know.
finish, and hopefully you take this away. It says that he is actually praying, establishing prayer and giving alms tax as long as he lives. Now, the problem with this is that if he actually is raised up to heaven alongside Allah first before he dies, the issue is that he is actually giving alms to Allah right now, because nobody gives alms right when they're in heaven. That's a decree that you guys have actually made clear. So how is it that he's giving alms, and to whom is he giving alms right in
Because
heaven,
at the same time,
since he never died?
because at the same time that he technically, it says like he's doing paying zakat. You're basing it the fact like he can't do the same thing in heaven, word, but at the same time he's talking about like himself and on earth. My
It
point
says he will be praying. It says, and I bid me to establish prayer and give alms tax as long as I live. Right. The first verse actually says that he was given the scripture, and then he is blessed when he was born, blessed when he will die, and blessed when he will be raised back to life. But here, intently, he says, he has made me a blessing wherever I go, and bid me to establish prayer and give alms tax as long as I live. Both you and I, know, and I was an ex-Muslim. I know something about alms tax, right? Is that charity is giving to support the needy, like the orphans and the widows, right? The single mothers and everybody else, right? So who is he giving alms tax in heaven right now if he never died physically? And that if that mutawafika word meant to take him up to me instead of actually causing him to die physically, who is he giving alms tax to? That's my question to you right now.
He's actually very much paying alms tax on earth, but at the same time that doesn't mean that he's paying like zakat as long as he lives, as in the fact that like he would do it on heaven, because on space you don't give zakat to like aliens and whatnot.
Okay. Let's say, let's just say that for the sake of time, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. I'll actually agree with you, upon your argument. Okay, let's just say for the sake of the argument, I agree with you. All right, let's just roll with this, like how you said it. All right, under whose jurisdiction was Jesus under, right, when Jesus was giving alms tax when he was on earth?
Wait, what? Wait, hold it. Say it again.
Whose jurisdiction was he under, right? Or under which law, rather, was he, under when he gave alms tax when Jesus' ministry was on earth the first time he came?
What do you mean by Jesus' mysteries? Because at the same time, he's
Jesus' ministry
on earth.
Under which law or whose law, right, was Jesus when he gave his alms tax here on earth when he came the first time?
He's paying zakat on earth.
Yeah. Under which law? Was it not under the Jewish law? Sure.
Yeah. Because at the same time, you go to a Surah 3 verse 50, because it says he's here to confirm.
Awesome. So you guys say that Jesus came to a specific people. He came to the people of Israel, and that he paid alms tax, right, when he was under the Jewish law as a Jewish man. We both know that he was actually born as a Jewish man of Jewish descent, Bani Israel, right? So technically, he would have to be under the Jewish law or under God's law, Yahweh, right, to actually give alms tax. But hear me out. I'm just bringing you to the crux of this. So he actually gave alms tax under Jewish law according to the Torah back then, correct?
Yeah.
Right. So when he comes back again, since you said that he was raised up to heaven, right, and that he did not die, it wasn't a physical death, Allah caused him to die, caused him to be raised up to him alongside him, right? He's going to come a second time again, right, because he's not dead. Under which jurisdiction or which law will he be giving alms tax if he is continually giving alms tax right now as we're speaking in heaven when he comes back here on earth? Under which law?
He's just going to give like alms tax, just like how you would give like charity to anyone. Because at the same time, the same verse I give you, like 350, it says, I will legalize like the laws that was forbidden to you, because the rabbis or like the Sanhedrin or like the scholars of Judaism or the Torah actually like made rules that are hard and caused different
all right. I agree.
And
that's 930, right? And 31. You're quoting from chapter 9.
350.
Right. Excuse me?
350.
Yeah, well, 350 and 930 as well, right?
Yeah, it's very important for me to look it up.
Yeah, if you read the commentary, right, it says that they have actually taken, right, rabbis and monks for themselves, which they worship. They've partnered up, and
Yeah.
worship, something else than Allah Himself alone, right? Who deserves,
All right.
the worship alone. So let's
Yeah.
just say I agree with you, okay?
Yep.
And if you read the commentary, by the way, from Ibn Kathir, it says that
Yeah.
if anybody, right, abrogates, whatever Allah made lawful or unlawful, either prohibiting it or making it lawful when it's unlawful, right, then that in itself is actually a form of worship. True? Correct?
Wait, hold up. Because I thought you said like then that would mean deserve punishment because there are people who like misconstrued God's God's
But again,
laws.
if you read the commentary, Muhammad puts it like that, right? He was speaking to a Christian revert, all right? And what he tells him is basically this. He says, listen, he goes like, the Christian revert goes like, listen, we're not worshiping our monks. We're not worshiping our rabbis, right? He goes, and then Muhammad responds, to which Muhammad says, right? He says, he actually clarifies what is worship. He goes like, anything that Allah made lawful or unlawful, whenever you take that and switch it around, right?
Yeah.
It becomes a form of worship besides Allah. So that's apostatizing Allah or actually blaspheming Allah because Him alone is worthy of worship. Would you agree with me?
Sure. I'm not
Correct,
really
right?
understanding what's going on. Because
Okay. So in this case, the fact that Jesus actually was raised up to heaven, right, does not make any sense at all. Why? Because after Jesus left, right, there's a different form of giving alms and tax according to the Muslims. That's the Islamic alms and tax giving. And so whenever Jesus comes back, if he's still alive, then he's actually giving alms and tax in a way that Islam does not prescribe. Technically, he's actually going against what Islam teaches because he's still under the law of Moses, giving alms tax as according to the law of Moses, not according to Islam, because Islam came later. And so you see how actually this defeats, the purpose of your argument, saying that Jesus was not dead first and then raised up, and that he was raised up first, because otherwise, this Jesus, from the Quran would not be going against the words of Allah, would he?
No. Can I explain?
Exactly.
Okay, can I explain? So practically, very much, you're talking about the different. Okay, I didn't want it to be fast. You're talking about the different jurisdictions of like the taxes, right? Because like I pay tax or zakat in the Muslim regards, not in the Jewish regards, which was prescribed to them at the time. If you go to Surah Ma'idah or Surah 5, verse 48, then you'll realize that like Allah Azza wa Jalla had like had he willed, he would like unite the people on the same faith and on the same practices, but he basically very much divides them as he pleased, providing the fact that the only thing important was their belief. No. That's not really the important one. Just go to like 548.
548? You want me to go to 548?
Yeah.
All right. I will. I just want to show you this, and I promise I will, right? Since we're just like I'm still, basically expounding on my argument, right? Watch what this says. Wait for it. It says, "O Prophet, why do you prohibit yourself from what Allah has made lawful to you, seeking to please your wives? And Allah is all forgiving, most merciful." Forget about the context altogether, right? When it happened, why it happened. All I know is this, is that your Quran seems to be saying that Muhammad actually went against whatever Allah made lawful, right? He prohibited something. And so if you change any of Allah's decrees, right, then it's almost like you're actually, bringing, a different type of worship above or beside Allah. Now you're saying that Jesus is in heaven, never died, right? He rose up because he took him up to himself, right? Allah took him up to himself. He didn't cause him to die, because even though the word says, he caused him to die in Arabic, but let's just say for the sake of the argument, to actually stand with you and side with you, that's what it means. Then the Jesus that is still alive in heaven is going to come back a second time, and he's going to be against the alms taxing and against the praying according to Islam. Why? Because he's still under Jewish law until this day. So this actually defeats the very standard of not going against the word of Allah. Jesus is going against the word of Allah in heaven right now as we're speaking all day, every day, man.
All right, you see this one, the verse you're talking about.
I'm gonna post it up on the screen. So what would that verse be?
So it's 548. As for that verse 66 1, that's actually specifically talking about how Muhammad has like as like a sex slave or like a manicum or those whom your right hand possesses, because that is permissible, providing the fact that basically much they have to be.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. He still prohibited something that he made that Allah made lawful.
Let me explain. Then Aisha radiallahu anha and his wife, Nabi Muhammad's wife, and Hafsa radiallahu anha, Nabi Muhammad's wife, both of them actually very much felt jealous. So they basically very much like forced and pressured Nabi Muhammad to actually very much make an oath that thing much has nothing to do with the laws Allah really gave to them, gave to him. And then he basically very much like said because he didn't want to disappoint two of his wives. And as you can tell, Nabi Muhammad loved Aisha the most of any human being. So he just accepted. But however, Allah basically very much revealed the verse that says like, oh Prophet, why do you basically very much like Allah would take, hold up. I don't want to misconstrue what it says. It says, oh Prophet, why hold this down?
That's not the point. I told you earlier, my friend. Hold on a minute. Hold on. You see, you're going on a tangent, and I told you earlier, I don't want to discuss the context. I'm not interested in contextual criticism here.
Yeah,
as much as I'm actually interested in
when we're talking about Nabi Sallallahu.
But hear me out, man. You made a claim, right? You got to let me answer my claim. Like if I make a long claim, even if I do actually go on a tangent for a long time, right? At least I'm making a claim and I'm staying within that same claim.
Yeah.
And once I'm actually done my claim, you can actually step in and rebuttal, right? So you made a claim. Let me actually answer back. Okay. I'm saying this is not about the context as much as this is about like, Muhammad defying the words of Allah. I don't care. I couldn't care less what happened, how it happened, what Allah said, and what have you, how Muhammad, changed the words of Allah or how he actually made lawful something that Allah in the first place prohibited. All I know is that Allah is correcting and rebuking Muhammad in that specific portion of scripture, right? To tell him to not do it again. And so if we go to Surah 9:32, right?
Well, I give you 548. Because basically, because 66:1 has nothing to do with we're talking about Nabi Sallallahu or the jurisdiction of what zakat we're paying, like whether it's Jewish or whether it's Muslim. Because I'm bringing like 548 and where Allah actually very much.
548 is right here. But again, you still haven't answered the fact that you see you haven't addressed my question about going backtracking, right? Because now we're deflecting. No, you haven't answered
about the verse.
Hear me out. You haven't addressed. You haven't answered. How is it that Allah, right, is receiving alms tax, right, from Jesus or anybody else for that matter, right, in heaven, when Jesus, right, is supposed to give alms tax only on earth, right? Because if he's going to die, okay, and he's going to be lifted up, raised up to heaven, then it does make a whole lot of sense that, he doesn't have to give alms taxes anymore, right? And so this goes in line with his words. But if he's going to be raised up without dying, he said that he's going to be giving alms tax as long as he lives perpetually. Yes, and so this actually, is laughable because this means that he's giving alms tax right in heaven to who exactly? He's giving charity to who? And if he is, or under which jurisdiction rather, the Torah, not under Allah, right? And then we brought up the fact that, whenever he returns, is he going to give alms tax? Because he said forever, because he's alive. He's still alive. You said yes. I said, well, this actually defeats the standard of giving alms tax according to Islam. Why? Because he's still under Jewish custom and law. He's still under the Torah. He's not under Islamic Sharia law. So this actually, again, right, like kind of defeats, every argument that you've been making. So you're bringing me here now. What do you want me to see?
All right, just go so judge by what Allah has revealed. And do not follow, just scroll down, because that's actually very important. Because you talk about what type of jurisdiction of tax that typically very much they do, Jewish or Muslim. Yeah, there we go. It says like if Allah is the will, He would have made you one community, but it is His will to test you in what He has given to you. So complete in with one other in doing good, and to Allah will return, and He will inform you of your truth regarding your differences.
Yeah, this still doesn't prove anything because I get it. I understand you're bringing the ideology of alms tax according to Islam. Point. Okay, but Jesus came. You're the ones. You guys always parrot the fact, right? When you speak to a Christian, to a Jew, you ask us, right? Who did Jesus actually come specifically for? And we answer for the sheepfold of Israel, don't we? Right? We say that He came for the people of Israel, and you always reiterate that this is a true fact. In this case, Jesus couldn't have been under anybody else's jurisdiction. When it came down to giving alms taxes, because He was a Jew from the people of Israel, and He was under Jewish law. Because your Quran also says that Jesus was given the Torah and the Injil to actually judge by them, right? And to
Yes.
live by them and assert
Because at the
them.
same time, because at the
Okay,
same time, the Jews in the law, if anybody has actually very much did adultery, then they would have to be stoned to death. Whereas in Islam, if a person did adultery, then the person would be laxed 100 times. The Jews, basically very much like who are under that sentence, want to basically very much follow Nabi Muhammad's judgment, because at the same time it is less harsh for
how is
them
that
in
even
terms of
related to
punishment.
what we're
Because
saying?
that
Man?
is the
I'm
verse.
just,
Because
how's
the
that related?
let me explain. Because that is the verse that was actually revealed. That verse that was talking about like the Jews follow your own judgment. That's the reason why that was revealed to the people at the time. You can look at the hadith.
But that's not what I'm talking about, man. I'm talking about the fact, okay, did Jesus receive the Torah and the Injil according to your Quran in a written
Yes.
form?
Because
Did he? Okay. I couldn't care less about any of the other decrees. I'm talking about the fact that he received the Injil and the Torah in a written form. Did he not?
Yes.
He did, right. So what
Yes.
I'm saying to you is this, is that he could only have been under Jewish law of the Old Testament, of the Torah, whatever the Torah had, was, for him back then. The Quran had not been revealed as of yet, right? So whether you make of Surah 5, 46 to 48, that, this is what it means, this is what it doesn't mean, right? I'm not interested in that. As much as I'm actually interested in knowing whether or not Jesus actually, fulfilled, right, and exercised alms tax according to the Jewish law. And the answer is absolutely yes, right? This is speaking here, the one that you showed me, Al-Amran, of the ideology according to Islam. So what I'm saying to you is, no doubt that Jesus was a Jew. No doubt that Jesus was under Jewish custom. No doubt that the alms and tax that Jesus paid, right, was under Jewish law, because the Quran had not been revealed yet. All right. And if you have any opposition to that, then you'd have to actually prove, the Torah and the Injil, which, by the way, you think have been distorted and changed. Now you have another problematic. Why? Because you can't actually provide me with any references or any reliable sources as to what is the Injil, right? Where is the Torah? What is the Torah? Where is the Injil? What are the laws actually made of, right? You don't have that in your hands. So whatever law he followed, it was Jewish custom. Therefore, if he's alive today, by the same token, right, when he comes back, because he's not dead, under which jurisdiction will he be? Under Islamic law? If that's the case, then he's going against his very God, the very God of the Quran. Therefore, right, this resurrection thing without death does not make any sense. It has no foot to stand on, my friend.
My point is really simple. Right? Allah has revealed the Torah and the Injil. Right? In them are actually very much lost. For the Jews, they're basically very much revealed the Torah, and at the same time, the Jews would actually very much base their laws from it. But at the same time, they would actually go and somehow somehow either corrupted, or in this case, basically very much reinterpreted.
That's not what your Quran says.
No,
your
it
Quran
does
not say that. No, it doesn't say that. In Surah 6, 114 to 116, it says that the word of Allah is perfectly preserved and none can actually change it. And if you actually dare to change it, or anybody changes it, right, then they are the worst of disbelievers. Okay. So this just shows you again. Okay. So you know what? Let's just concede that point for a minute here. All right.
Because if you go to Surah 2, verse 79, then you will get your answer.
I will. Can we do one verse? Because you did 4. Was it 4 158?
Yes.
Okay. Can we do this? This one?
Yes.
Every one of the people of the book will definitely believe in him before his death. Right. And on the day of judgment, Jesus will be a witness against them. Right. It says that every one of the people of the book will definitely believe in him before his death. All right. Which death is this speaking of?
The one in the second coming, when he's fighting at the Jab. As for my point, if you see Ahlul Kitab, what is Ahlul Kitab to you? Considering that you believe that he was crucified, but in this case there were no Christians around the time of the Nabi Isa so-called crucifixion, because at the same time your gospel literally comes after the crucifixion according to your belief.
According to who? To who?
The gospel, the Bible, literally taking.
No, now you're actually bringing in a fallacy. This is not what Christians actually believe. Let me educate you.
Because your
The
Bible,
gospel.
your canonical
Okay,
gospels,
hold
the
on a
Pauline
minute, man.
epistles,
Hold your
and the
horses.
book
If
of
you're gonna make a
Revelation.
claim and you're gonna let me talk, otherwise I'm gonna mute you, brother. We just agreed earlier we're gonna do this respectfully, even if we're two passionate people. You're gonna let me talk, man.
The
All right?
written New Testament was not there at the time that Isa
Okay, I don't wait a minute. What is the gospel according to Christians? The gospel according to Christians is the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus Christ of Nazareth. All right. So even if you say that the gospel is not there because P52, as you know, like a fragment of a manuscript came about, only decades later, or even if like the book of Mark or the book of Matthew or the other gospels came about, later. Right, this still doesn't disprove the fact that Jesus, historically speaking, right, did actually die, was buried, and then rose again after 3 days. How do I know this? Because historical accounts have corroborated, right, with the writings of biblical statements, which are not even canonical. So we think of Josephus, we think of Tacitus, right, who were there and who actually wrote down, right, in the time of Jesus, historically speaking, right, corroborating with the later text to be compiled, right, that Jesus did actually die and he actually rose from the dead, right? That's on top of 500 people, just to top it off, actually seeing Jesus, witnessing Jesus coming back from the dead. So at the end of the day, my friend, you have no leg to stand on, because if I have to bring the same standard and apply it to your religion, your hadith came about 300 years later after Muhammad, and his biography was written by Ibn Ishaq only 180 years later, roughly. So you see how you're using a double standard here, which is bias, and you don't know what you're talking about, right? So you can't use that, because we have historical evidences corroborating, right, with the fact that the biblical accounts were actually true. And as a matter of fact, they were written in the time of Jesus. So you don't know what you're talking about. So every one of the people of the book
means. What does the
Ahlul Kitab means? The Jews and the Christians.
Yes,
the Jews and the Christians.
And what Christian? And what do you mean by the Ahlul Kitab?
Let me ask you my question.
Because there's
Okay,
like Torah and the Injil. You believe that technically very much the gospel or like the New Testament actually came like in the written form after like Jesus.
No, I don't claim that. Your Quran actually claims in Surah 350. Your Quran. Okay, I'm going to show it to you. I'm going to show it to you.
Don't believe
I'm going to show you how you just shot yourself in the foot. I'm going to show you how. Can you let me? You know what? I'm going to mute you, man. I'm going to mute you because. All right, good. So hey, you got to learn, man. You got to learn to not talk over people. Like you keep talking over me. You're the one who came up here, right? There's a burden of proof on me. So you got to let me talk, man, and present, the burden of proof. I got to be able to defend my arguments and my position, right? So you got to let me defend my arguments, because you're the one who says Jesus is a Muslim. Jesus, right, was not crucified. Jesus is not God.
I didn't make the claim like that. I was trying to talk about the crucifixion, right? And the arms stack and all that.
But that's what we're getting to. The whole point is to tell you that Jesus was actually crucified. That's the whole point. So you're making an argument against that. I'm actually making an argument, right, for our sake, for the Christian's sake, that Jesus did actually, die on the cross and then later was raised up to Allah, not the other way around. So when you bring an argument, a counter argument against my claim, right, which is Jesus is God, right, he is no Muslim, right, he was crucified, prove me wrong, right, what you're doing is that you're allowing me, right, with the burden of proof that is on me, right, to show you that, hey, you know what, this is what the Quran actually teaches. So let me finish my argument, because I've got a question to ask you here. Can we do that? All right. Every one of the people of the book will definitely believe in him before his death, this verse says. And on the day of judgment, Jesus will be a witness against them. All right. Now, are you familiar with the hadith that says that whenever Jesus comes back, he will analyze the Jews and the Christians, that even so much that the trees will actually point out that there's a Jew or there's a Christian, sitting behind it. Are you familiar with that hadith?
Yes, because it's talking about those who follow the false Messiah at Dajjal.
Okay, who is this speaking of?
This talk about at Dajjal in the end of times.
No. Who are the people that Jesus is analyzing alongside the Mahdi, right? Whenever they come back, who are the people that your hadith, who's authentic, by the way, Sahih Shaddan, is saying, right, that is addressing to be the people that even the trees will actually mention that they're here, O Muslim, come and analyze the Jew and the Christian. Who is this speaking of? The Jews and the Christians, right? So now you have a lot of explanation to do, because it says everyone in Arabic it says, let me read it to you. وَإِنَّ مِنْ أَهْلِ الْكِتَابِ إِلَّا لِيُؤْمِنُوا بِهِ قَبْلَ مَوْتِهِ وَيَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ يَكُونَ عَلَيْهِمْ شَهِيدًا. Every one of the people of the book will definitely believe in him before his death. I don't know if you've had your, simple, basic 101 grammar course, or lexicon course. Everyone here, the article is an absolute article. Everyone means exclusive of everyone. Implicitly, everyone of the people of the book will definitely believe in him before his death. Okay? So if this is speaking of the future event, right? You're telling me everyone has to believe on him, but yet your hadith seems to contradict this, because it says that the Jews and the Christians who don't believe on him, right? A lot of them will not believe on him. They will be analyzed by him, by Isa, Isa. Now you've got explanation to do.
What explanation?
Are you serious now?
No. Like, are we talking about like the Qur'an? Because I was saying that, thank you very much.
Here,
This is the
here,
end of time.
I'm gonna bring it up to you. I'm gonna bring it up to you. Wait.
Also, for like the Jesus is God part, you should look at Surah 5 verse 75 and Surah 5 verse 17.
I'm gonna prove you Jesus to be God from your own Quran, by the way.
Okay, all right, go right ahead.
But we're gonna go there. But first, don't run from this. Don't run from this. Okay. Here.
What is it?
I'm gonna show it up. Just give me a minute here.
Oh,
right?
my bad. I thought you were like saying like.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay, man. It's okay. Don't worry about it, man.
All right, thank you.
Right.
You're very kind.
Huh?
You're a very good guy. Thank you very much for being patient.
I don't think you mean it, man, but it's fine, man. I still bless in the name of Jesus.
All right, thank you. I
don't think you mean it, man, but you know what? I'm gonna bless in the name of Jesus.
Pray for me.
That's okay, man. That's okay. Here. I want everybody to see this. So, you know how like we just read that it says that everyone from the people of the book, right, will come to believe in Jesus. Now, if you're gonna make the claim that Jesus did not die, he was raised up, his death wasn't in the past, his death, which the Quran speaks of, is a futuristic death, right? Then you have a lot of explanation to do, because your Quran says that before he dies, right, all Jews and all people of the book, every single one of them, right, all people of the book, every single one of them, right, will believe in him. Now, this is contradictory to this, because this says here, the last hour would not come unless the Muslims will fight against the Jews, and the Muslims shall kill them until the Jews would hide themselves behind a stone, or three would say, Muslim, or the servant of Allah, there's a Jew behind me, come and kill him. But the tree, Gharqad, would not say, for it is the tree of the Jews. And look at this. Here, this is Sahih Muslim, all right? So this is authentic, graded authentic. Now, explain to me the contradiction between these two.
Go back into the same surah. Go back to the same surah verse, because at the same time, you haven't read it correctly. I would like to help you correct that.
Bro, if you're not honest, I'm just gonna, we're done here, man. If you're gonna find your way out of this, forget about that, man. Because I don't know how else you could actually read this. Read it. It's right there on the screen.
There's a word illa. Look at that. Illa. Look at the footnote right here.
It says everyone of the people of the book will definitely believe in him before his death.
Look at the footnote after the death. You're not looking at the footnote.
You mean here on the Quran website?
If you see number one. No,
I can't. For some reason, I can't unlock. I can't unlock it. But if you want to put it up on the screen, put it up on the screen.
All right, give me 1 sec.
Put it up on the screen. My brother Francesco Coscientini, God bless you, man. Thanks for coming out. Thanks for watching, man. I noticed earlier.
All right, if you see the word, if you see the word like what in, Like if you see like the word like what in like the verse. What up?
Just put it up,
See,
man. Put it up on the screen.
All right, very well then. I'll do that provided with like the translation.
I didn't make the translation, by the way. I didn't make the translation. Yusuf Ali made that translation. All right. Surah Yusuf Ali. Give me a minute, bro. I'm gonna put it up on the screen. We'll see. Who came up with this Islamic rule that it has to be in Arabic only for it to be authentic and true? You know, and what's crazy, sister, is that, you know, whenever you actually show them the dishonesty of translation in some of these verses, right, they'll go like, no, this is what it means, right? So whenever it basically advantages them, they'll go for it, you know, all day, every day. But whenever it actually backfires at them and does not actually stand like, you know, with, it does not argue with them on their side, then they go like, oh no, you know, like this, we can't take the translation. I showed him that everyone from the people of the book, right, is supposed to become a Muslim in the last days, right?
Yeah,
and
I got it right here.
Hadith says, okay, put it on the screen.
All right, I got my book back. Give me a sec. So do you see it?
Let me just let me see if I can actually get you to
Do you see it?
can you read it for us? Can you just read it for us?
Yeah. And remember, right? It says like, and there is none but of the people of the Ahli Kitab, but must believe in him before his death, and on the day of judgment he will be a witness for against them. Right. So what I meant by like none, it says like what in, right? So basically, very much in has like many. If you speak Arabic, right? In has like many like conjugations. Like for example, it can mean like indeed. It can mean like verily. It can mean like not.
So you tell me the English translation of Yusuf Ali, one of your scholars, is wrong. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, because he's not an Arab speaker. Now my point is that technically very much like, for example, if we say like the word ma can mean what, but it could mean like not, right? Because he's gonna be like wema, like you get my point.
You know what? I want to get to the bottom of this, man. I want to be sure 100% that what you're saying, the footnote is really what this is saying, all right? Before I concede anything to you whatsoever, give me a minute. So that was remind me of the verse. Was it verse 158 or 59?
Yeah, 159.
159. I'm going to go to Al-Jalalain, all right?
All right. Keep in mind, there are many of them. So if you like cherry pick like one of them, it really
not cherry pick, man. I'm going with your scholars.
Good.
So just hold on a minute. Right. Just hold on.
I'm just like saying, I'm not saying you're doing it, but like I'm just saying, like if you were to do that, then it wouldn't actually like go well for you. All right, yeah.
Okay, guys, watch. Okay, you guys, look at this, my friends. Look at this, my friend. This is Al-Jalalain, right? This is your own scholar, right? Surah An-Nisa, right? Verse 159. And there is not one of the people of the scripture, but will assuredly believe in him, in Jesus, before his death, that is, before the death of one belonging to the people of the scripture, upon seeing the angel of death with his very eyes, at which point his faith will not profit him. So, at the end of the day, this is speaking of when he ascends at the approach of the hour, as it is stated in the hadith, and on the day of resurrection, he, Jesus, will be a witness against them, and what they did when he was sent to them. So this actually, hallelujah. This actually, congratulations. This just defeats, what you just said, bro. So you don't know what you're talking about.
Because it says like not one.
But you're going against your commentators,
because Al-Jalalain's commentary, like.
Are you going against your commentary? Because if you say yes, then I'm gonna drop you, man. We're done.
I mean, like, you want to talk about like Jesus is God parts, because we haven't covered that yet. But like, yeah, my answer is yes.
Okay, so your answer is yes. So this is Al-Jalalain. This is one of your scholars, and he seems to be saying a whole lot of what I've been saying so far. He says everything that you haven't said. Excuse me?
No, because Yusuf Ali completely contradicts Al-Jalalain's commentary, because he says like
you said Yusuf Ali is not trustworthy, right? That's what you said, right? You said Yusuf Ali is not trustworthy in his translation. You said Al-Jalalain is a reliable and trustworthy scholar.
Because they be very
Correct?
much like the word
Correct.
because he's basing Arabic on English, and that actually isn't really he's basing Arabic on English, and that actually very much isn't really
Bro,
that
why do
actually
you
really
guys
isn't,
always do that?
smart.
Read it word for word. It's up on the screen. Jalal al-Jalalain. He is
Because
literally telling you that there's not a single Jew or Christian that will not, right? That will not become, that will not stay Jewish or Christian. They will
he's using
assuredly
like
all come to believe in Jesus upon his second coming, which is whenever he descends upon the minaret in Syria, and when he, when he comes back. And yet, what I showed you is that your authentic hadith, right, says that how is this possible? I mean, my question was, how is this possible if your authentic hadith, right, claims that every Jew and every Christian will be unalived by Jesus himself, who your Quran actually says all the Jews and all the Christians will believe in? Don't you see the dichotomy and the diametrically opposed contradiction here? So what I'm bringing to you is exactly that, is to show you that, okay, the only way that this is going to make sense, all right, and that the Jews and Christians will believe on him is if he actually died the first time, not the second time, because that otherwise would contradict your hadith, my friend. Why? Because if he died the first time, those that were there did actually believe, at least a lot of them. But when he comes down, he's going to destroy, churches. He's going to analyze Jews and Christians. He's going to, break up some crosses. So this doesn't make sense.
It also, the hadith mentions that he's going to like kill the pigs, but at the same time, it didn't say anything about like destroying like churches, right? It
says he will break crosses. A lot of your commentaries actually agree to say that in a figurative way of form, right? It's actually, or a figurative way of speech, excuse me, it actually speaks of the destruction of the churches. This is what this actually is about, my friend. Anyways, man, you couldn't answer this one. I showed you. And again, you have no objection for this one. Like, you're literally cornered. What will you answer to this? Because Al-Jalalain says everyone will become, and the hadith says not everyone will become Muslim.
Because at the same time, Yusuf Ali contradicts Ibn Jalalain. So Ali is very untrustworthy.
All right, I'm gonna wish you a happy and blessed evening in the name of Jesus, man. I think at this point we're
sure.
done.
Have a good day.
You too. Take care.
All right, bye.